You probably won't believe this, but while it's super rare for a warden to stumble into the end, it's not totally impossible. Just moments ago, a creeper spawned in an ancient city and quickly got cornered by a warden. Knowing it was game over, the creeper blew its top right there. But that explosion did more than just damage. It accidentally opened a portal to the end stronghold, and just like that, through a stroke of luck, the warden tumbled right into this dimension. He'd never seen anything like this scenery before. What confused him even more was that the mobs here weren't scared of him. In fact, the way they looked at him, it was like they were looking at an idiot. It almost made him doubt himself for a second, but he shook that thought off fast. He immediately tried to throw hands with one of them, but his punch hit nothing but air, as the Enderman teleported right behind him. The warden literally couldn't touch him. Just then, a cracking dragon egg caught his attention. Suddenly, 2 wings popped out of the egg. The warden had never seen a creature like this, so he couldn't help but go check it out. But out of nowhere, a dragon fireball dropped, knocking the warden flat on his back. A second later, the ender dragon swooped down right in front of him. She blasted him away with another fireball. The warden scrambled up and tried to run, quickly climbing up a tower. Seeing the dragon coming back for more, the warden didn't hold back and unleashed his ultimate move. 2 sonic booms in a row, ripped right through the dragon's wings. As the strongest mob in the overworld, no matter where he goes, the warden is not to be messed with. But soon enough, the dragon circled an end crystal tower, and those shredded wings healed instantly. Then she dove at the warden, grabbed him, and carried him hundreds of feet up, before letting him free fall. But the warden is built like a tank. That little scratch didn't mean a thing to him. It just made him angry. He flipped over and rode on the dragon's neck, landing a flurry of heavy punches. But the dragon was just way bigger. The warden couldn't beat her with brute force alone. She snatched him up like a rag doll, in her mouth, dragged him across the obsidian, and finally served him up like a shuttlecock, tossing him into the air, and smashing him with a full-force tail whip. However, that hit accidentally knocked the warden into a gateway portal. He landed on what looked like an Enderman island, covered in chorus plants. A ripe fruit dropped onto the ground right then. That immediately grabbed the warden's attention. The fight had made him pretty hungry, so he grabbed it and gulped it down without thinking. But the sudden teleportation made something click in his brain. He rushed to a chorus plant, ripped it out by the roots, smashed it to pieces, and started gorging on the fallen fruit. After swallowing them all, his body started to mutate, glowing with a bright purple light. He had gained the Enderman's power to teleport. In a blink, he took out an Enderman that was ignoring him. Now the Endermen around him were freaking out, scattering in every direction. But it was too late to run. The warden teleported right behind one, and ended him with one slap. A swarm of Endermen tried to gang up on him, but they never expected that the warden, being a combat genius, would master teleportation instantly. He was using it even better than the Endermen themselves. Just then, a passing player spotted the chaos. Staring at a teleporting warden, he couldn't believe his eyes. This could mean the end of the end. So, he rushed back to the player-colonized End City. Inside the beacon tower, he took off his helmet, revealing a handsome face, just like yours. He flipped the switch on the beacon, changing the beam to dark red. Like lighting a signal fire, players in other towers saw it, and did the same. In seconds, a massive army of players gathered. Non-player mobs joined in too, like the Shulkers and the Mutant Enderman King. Once the 3 factions united, they held a war council to figure out how to stop this teleporting monster. A normal warden is hard enough to kill, but now that he could teleport, his mobility was off the charts. He was running circles around the Ender Dragon. However, he wasn't trying to kill the dragon right away. He wanted to really hurt her, by destroying the dragon egg first, hitting her where it hurts. Just as he was about to smash it, TNT exploded right in his face. Next second, the player-led allied fleet arrived in force. Under the player's command, the fleet circled the central island, raining down fire. The warden was absolutely furious. He couldn't believe the players would fight so dirty, assembling such a huge army, just to take out one guy. But he wasn't scared. He was hyped. He hadn't had a fight this good in ages. Using his sonic boom for propulsion, he launched himself at an end ship, destroying a turret in the blink of an eye. Against these small fry soldiers, he was one-shotting them left and right. Their numbers meant nothing to him. He wiped them out in seconds. So, the 3 leaders decided to step in personally, as the top fighters of their factions. They showed incredible skill right from the start. With their perfect teamwork, for a moment, it looked like the warden couldn't touch them. The Shulker fired 3 guided bullets, hitting 3 turrets, and levitated them to smash into the warden. The player followed up instantly. They unleashed wave after wave of attacks. The End King opened a portal, and warped the warden straight into the void. However, that just gave the warden a moment to breathe. He teleported right above the end ship, used his sonic boom to accelerate, and slammed onto the deck like a meteor. The entire ship was crushed in an instant. It happened so fast, the 3 leaders were stunned. But for the warden, the party was just getting started. He went straight for the player first. Trying to weaken the beast, the player threw a splash potion of weakness. But even with his strength drained, the warden's sonic boom was still devastating. The End King tried to coordinate with the player, teleporting the player behind the warden for a sneak attack. But the warden saw through it instantly and countered it. After dealing with the player, the warden turned to the other 2 leaders. He didn't attack immediately. He wanted to see what tricks they had left. The Shulker fired 3 more levitation bullets, hitting 2 stone walls and a chest. He steered the stone walls towards where the warden was falling. Once regrouped with the player, It was the Shulker's time to shine. He slammed the two walls into the warden. The first one pinned him, the second stunned him, and then he dumped some secret sauce from the chest. He literally made a warden sandwich, but when they opened it up, the warden was already gone. They all got a bad feeling instantly. Sure enough, the warden appeared right behind them. To block his sonic boom, they scrambled behind the End King. Using his facial manipulation, the king actually reflected the blast back. But that wasn't all. A Shulker bullet hit an end crystal right behind the warden, taking two massive hits back to back. Even the mighty warden was starting to get winded. The big three decided to keep the pressure on. The player made noise on another crystal tower to lure the warden over. Then the Shulker fired a shot, blowing it up to deal heavy damage again. The Ender Dragon joined the fray too. With her help, they tossed the warden to another tower. They gave him absolutely zero room to breathe, bombing him over and over with end crystals. But what they didn't expect was that even after 8 or 9 blasts, the warden was still kicking. He landed on a ship, effortlessly clearing out the trash mobs, and pushed over a stone pillar with sheer brute force. The Shulkers arrived and worked their magic again. They levitated the pillar high into the sky and dropped it. The End King adjusted its path, smashing it right onto the warden, but disappointment struck again. The warden was way tougher than they imagined. A Shulker hit him with another levitation bullet. Hit! The warden started floating uncontrollably upwards, but that backfired completely. For a teleporting warden, floating fixed his only weakness. He couldn't stay airborne. Combining levitation with teleportation, he was practically walking on air. He beat the dragon so bad she didn't know which way was up. The player and the End King started wondering whose side the Shulker was actually on. Meanwhile, the dragon was internally screaming. To fight the warden earlier, they had blown up most of her crystals, so now she couldn't heal herself anymore. Right now, only one crystal stood between her and death. One more hit and she was gone for good. That's when the brave player stepped up again. It turned into a 1v1 duel. Dodging like a pro, the player avoided several attacks, took to the skies and rained instant harming potions. The warden chased him instantly, starting a dogfight in midair. For the player, getting hit meant he had to chug potions immediately, or the warden's second punch would finish him. But the warden didn't even care about the player's attacks. No matter how hard he hit, he couldn't break the warden's defense. Desperate, the player tried to slam the warden into the ground. Bad move. The warden teleported, swapping places, and the player smashed face first into the floor. That slam left the player with half a heart. He struggled to drink a potion, but again, the warden blasted him away with a sonic boom. The player could barely keep his eyes open. Just as the warden moved in for the kill, a swarm of Endermites attacked. Banding together, they formed a powerful force and knocked the warden back. They formed a humanoid shape to wrestle with him. The other two leaders used this chance to reach the player. They helped him up and fed him a regeneration potion. As the player healed up, millions of Endermites engulfed the group. They combined organically, forming a massive Endermite dragon. Looking at this giant beast, the warden was stunned. He didn't know that was even legal. Now, all their attacks were fused into one, and if he got hit, Endermites would multiply on his body instantly, doubling in numbers within seconds. The warden snapped. He broke free, rushed to an obsidian pillar, and used a reverse sonic boom while airborne. Using sheer strength, he pushed the pillar over, straight onto the fused monster. In this life or death moment, the real Ender Dragon stepped up. She used all her strength to push the pillar aside. Then the group attacked together, knocking the airborne warden into the end portal. But the dragon couldn't dodge in time and was crushed by the obsidian pillar. Her low health dropped to 0 instantly. With her death, the exit portal opened fully. The warden was randomly teleported back to the overworld, ending up back in the ancient city. Back in the end, thanks to the dragon's sacrifice, peace was restored. Then the player remembered something. He opened a guidebook and found a way to resurrect the Ender Dragon. Endermen brought sand blocks. Endermites brought a furnace, and the player provided the other materials. They crafted them at a workbench and successfully made 4 end crystals. By placing them to start the ritual, beams shot up into the sky. The destroyed crystals on the towers began to regenerate one by one. Finally, the Ender Dragon was successfully resurrected, and the player unlocked a new achievement,